Welcome. I'm Catherine Corey. I'm just volunteering today, and it's my pleasure to introduce Michele Molitor. She has been described as an enthusiastic, inspiring, and a bit of a rebel rouser. She instigates new ideas, successful career strategies, and more authentic leadership in her clients through her passion as a coach and consultant. After working as a creative director in web development in the high-pressure.com boom, then bust, followed by 9/11, Michele decided it was time to change things up. And the death of a friend poignantly made her realize how not to live a life from a place of fear. So she leapt off the cliff into the unknown, changed careers, got trained and certified as a professional coach. With additional certifications in leadership, human dynamics, and sales and marketing. And in 2001, she founded Nectar Consulting, and this helps other recovering workaholics like herself create more meaning and satisfaction in her work. Michele is a writer, speaker, facilitator, trainer, and artist. And over the last 10 years, she's worked with hundreds of business professionals, actually, educators and executives, helping them rediscover what's important, tapping into their passions and strengths to create successful careers and businesses of all kinds, both locally and internationally. Along the journey, she's co-authored 2 books, A Clear, Compelling Vision, which is right up here, and bite-sized tips from the new entrepreneur, wisdom from the experts who've made it. And she invites you today to dive in as she walks you through a set of tools to help you envision your success. So bring your A game, and good luck as you create a thriving career and a more enjoyable life.
Thank you, Kathleen. Hi, everyone. How are you doing today?
Great. All right.
Fabulous. Well, my name is Michele, and I will be your host for the journey today. And as we go through this is going to be an interactive conversation. So if you thought you were coming in here to get a rest and to sit quietly, that's really not going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you. All right? So we are going to be talking about today, how do you envision your success? And how do you create your A game? So how many of you here are actually looking for a new job? Okay, great. Most of the hands are up. And on top of that, who's tired, burnout, overwhelmed, or just needs a change? Some of you. A lot of you. Okay, great. Well, the good news is you're not alone, because there's a whole building full of people who are wandering around in the same state as you are. But the trick here is, how do you get a leg up on all these other people, right? That has you stand out and shine, because there's a lot of people out here looking for those same precious jobs. So what we're going to talk about here today is, how do you do that? By really aligning with your core values such that who you are really shines through. And it goes beyond the expertise that you have listed on your resume, but in a way that has you shine and sparkle far more than anybody else in the room. So are you guys interested in learning how to sparkle a little bit more?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Because the thing is, where you're at can be a crappy thing, or it can be a happy thing. It all depends on the perspective that you hold, right? I get it. I've been laid off. I've been in this dip, as I like to refer to it. And almost 12 years ago, next week will be my 12-year anniversary, actually, of moving here to the Bay Area. And I got picked, packed, and shipped from Atlanta to San Francisco. I was a creative director in web development at the height of the boom. Hurry, we're going to IPO. It's going to be really exciting. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be a millionaire. Woo! I moved on the 13th. I started work on the 17th of April. And that same week, we were going to IPO. And the market crashed. No IPO for you. And 9 months later, I got laid off, as did a bunch of other people. Money ran out, all that great tchotchke we had, it's paraphernalia now, right? So it's all in your perspective about how you handle that. And the thing is, the day that I got laid off, I went home and I called my mom, who's really a very happy person and a stoic person, and she was really upset only to tell me that a very close friend of our family was dying. And in that moment, my perspective changed. I lost my job today. So what? My friend is dying. And the next day, I was leaving to go on a family vacation. Come on in, have a seat. Find a handout. I left the next day to go on a family vacation, and I decided the day I got back was going to be the first day of the rest of my life, and I was going to getting on and figure out what I was going to do next, because I did not want to do that anymore. I was burnt out. I was a puddle of my former self. My self-confidence, my self-esteem was just a wreck, because it was a really traumatic breakup, if you will, right? And the day I got back that I was going to start my life, I got a phone call from my dad, woke me up, telling me that Al had died. And I was really mad. Please come in. Because he didn't have to die. He chose not to take the cocktail of drugs that would have saved his life. Because he was so afraid to be who he truly was. And it still to this day breaks my heart. Because I miss him, right? But I vowed on that day that I would not live from a place of fear, because life is too short and too precious. So I figured out, okay, what am I going to do next? And my uncle was the one who said, well, why don't you get a coach? I'm like, what's a coach? I know basketball coach, I know football coach. What do you mean coach? And so I did some research and I found a coach, and in the process of getting some career coaching, I discovered my passion for helping people through this mechanism called coaching, and got trained and certified up and down and back around again. Been doing it a lot. And started my own business after 9/11, because 9/11 was a big wake-up call for a lot of people. Like, what's really important here? And the things that used to matter aren't necessarily what matters anymore. So I started my company, Nectar Consulting, and I've been coaching ever since. So the thing is sometimes opportunity comes in many forms. And sometimes it looks like getting shoved off the bus, because the universe wants you to get it. There's something better for you to be doing, but you can't see it. You can't see beyond the veils or the blinders that you have on because of the fears and the doubts or the whatevers that are blinding you to what that is, right? So it's one of my favorite quotes. It's by Maxwell Maltz. It says, what is opportunity and when does it knock? It never knocks. You can wait a whole lifetime listening, hoping, and you will hear no knocking. None at all. You are opportunity. You prepare yourself to recognize opportunity, to pursue and seize opportunity, and build a self-image with which you are able to live with your self-respect alive and growing. So where you're at here today in this dip is an opportunity to stop and pause and recalculate as to what's important to me now based on where I am today. Now, all you, I'm making an assumption you all are educators in some way, shape, or form. Yes? Yes. Okay. So you got into education for whatever reason you got into education for. Those dreams, those visions. And now where you are, maybe some of that has changed. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right? So every day is an opportunity to seize the opportunity and check in with yourself. What's important to me today? And how do I want to operate and move forward through my day today so that I can be really well used by the end of the day, that my talents, my brilliance, my skills, my expertise has been well used. Because if we're not checking in with ourselves and looking at what's important to me today, we can get caught in having our lizard brain take control. And then your lizard brain starts to negotiate your life for you. And really, it's that part of your brain, it's the amygdala that's in the back of your brain where your fight or flight response lives. And when things happen to us, we can fall into that fight or flight response, and fear sets in. But originally it was supposed to be an instant, it was going to be a short-lived kind of thing. But what happens in today's world is that fear keeps going and going and going. Then we start to create drama and procrastination. We make excuses to avoid some of the things that are challenging to us in our lives. And so you have to notice, is that me driving the bus? Or is that my lizard driving the bus? And who do I want to be driving the bus? Some days you might just want to pull the covers over your head and go, it's not going to work for me today. I'm just going to go back to sleep and start over again tomorrow. And sometimes that's okay, right? We all have those moments. And eventually, it's time to pull yourself up and go, wow, no, the lizard doesn't get to be in charge today. I do. And here's what I want, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at, what do you really want? Because life works in reverse order than what we think it is. We're trained to think, well, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to go get a job and then I'm going to get my happiness on. Because happiness lies out there somewhere. But the truth of the matter is happiness is in here. And so to help you create that inner happiness, you've got to get clear on what is it that makes you happy. Why do you get out of bed every day? Why do you want to do what you're doing? You spend all this time and money and education to become a teacher. Why do you really want to do that? There's a lot of headaches, a lot of noisy children, you don't get paid so well. There could be all sorts of complaints about it, right? But my guess is that there's some piece of it that lights you up from within that has you want to get out of bed every day. And sometimes in these dip places, we forget about those things that light us up. So we're going to take a little time to do that today and kind of recheck in with ourselves and see what is it that's really going to have us do that. So the fun thing is the more you align with the things that are important to you, the more evidence will present itself as to, yes, you're going in the right direction. But sometimes we have to remember to let go of the things that no longer serve us. And that's where this, I got a pink slip and I got laid off, can be an opportunity. Because it allows you to let go of something that might not be serving you in some way, shape, or form that's not in alignment with some of those values. And so here's a really fun example that just happened to me in the last month and a half. Just to give you a little bit of proof of how this works. So I completed very graciously and mutually with a long-standing client. We had a great 8-year relationship, and due to conflicts of interest, we had to part business ways. Just fact of the matter. And simultaneously in the same week, I parted ways with my now ex-boyfriend. Because that really wasn't working for me, right? But what that did was it created this big, huge place of space where there was no longer this mental energy that was being burned around these two areas that were taking up a lot of my time and energy and emotions. And it created this vacuum, and I'm not kidding you, within 2 weeks, I got 5 speaking gigs and 2 new clients. And those all align with my values. And they're like, oh yeah, this is stuff I really want to be doing. Because that had gotten to a place where I don't really want to be doing that anymore. And same thing with the boyfriend. I don't really want to be doing that anymore. So it creates this vacuum of what I like to call the creating space for the new, more aligned, makes me happy stuff that I want to come in trick. So start to look for that in your own world as to what are the things that you want to start letting go of. They might be little things. They might be really big things. It's up to you. So today, we're going to look at what's important to you. Hi, welcome. Come on in. Have a seat. So you can get clear from today's perspective of, wow, what do I want today? How do I want today to go? Every day when I wake up, before I get out of bed, before my feet touch the ground, I think, what do I want today? How do I want this day to go? How do I want to be well used? So at the end of the day, when I climb back into bed and I reflect on how did my day go? Oh, that day went pretty good. I was able to accomplish these things. I was able to contribute in these ways. It allows me to go to bed feeling good. Because that's all we want. We want to feel good. We want to be seen and heard and recognized for our talents and our expertise and be of contribution in some way. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world, and that is a fundamental truth we all want. So, the thing is, as you're looking for a job, if you can get clear on what's important to you, it will take you to the place of what's important beyond the money and beyond the title. Because the money is just the outcome, right? The title is just a fancy label that our ego likes to attach to, right? But really, it's what aligns with your core values. What is the experience that you want to be having in every single day that has you get out of bed and go to the trouble of going to that job? How can your talents and your gifts be well used and shine and have you sparkle? Because you all have had that experience, right? When you've met somebody and you're like, wow, something about them. I don't get some of that, you know? I remember the very first coach training course I went to. My coach trainer was this little tiny fireball redhead. And I remember sitting there for 3 days in this intense training thinking, how do I become like that? Because she is lit up and she is on fire from the inside out about what she's doing and how she's doing it. That's what I want. Because where I had been was, oh, I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I can't do this anymore, right? And that's your heart and your soul saying to you, something has to change. So this is also about listening to your intuition, listening to your spirit and your heart. Because sometimes it knocks quietly and sometimes it will knock you over the head. No, go look over there. Because there's something better for you to do, right? So, we are going to be talking about today how you create your A game. So we've been talking about rediscovering your values. And we're going to do some exercises around that. We're going to really dive deep into this because this is a really important fundamental thing. I do these exercises with all of my clients because I believe it is such a foundational piece of information for you to have. And if we have time, we'll talk more about identifying your skills, your talents, and your passions. Because when you're clear on that, then it's much easier to point yourself at the right job that you want, right? And then, if you're really clear on what your strengths are, then how do you bring more of that into your work? So that every day you're in that zone, you're in that place. How many of you guys do a sport or a hobby or something where you lose track of time? Yeah? What kind of hobby? Acting. Beautiful. Wonderful. How about you? Hiking. Yeah. I saw another hand go up. Art. Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm a big artist. Love it. Yeah, you can just lose time because you're in that zone. And your whole body's just like, right? So, and the last two, rejuvenate your spirit and practice gratitude. Big believer of this. You've got to take time to rejuvenate your spirit, your heart, your soul. Because if you get that burnt out, then there's nothing left of you to give to anybody else. And the last thing, practicing gratitude. Even if you're having a bad day, if you can step into a place of gratitude just about the littlest things that aren't working in your life, it will shift your energy. I guarantee you. So, we're going to talk now about rediscovering your values. So, step 1. What's important exercise? So in your handout, you have the values list here. And then the next page has your top 5 values. So what you're going to do right now is you're going to go through this list and you're going to check off all the values that you have. And if they're not on this list, you can add them. You can have all sorts of interesting values. I have a value called ocean, which is how do I get to be a vast, wide, deep container of love in every single day? So you pick all the values that are there for you, and then once you've done that, then I want you to narrow it down to your top 5, which is on the next page. So you're going to list those top 5 here that are the ones that are like air and water to you. They're sustenance to your soul. And once you've picked those top 5, then I want you to rate each of those on a scale of 1 to 10. Answering this question, how fully am I honoring this value today? So is my love of art being honored today? You know? So rating it, 1 being not so much and 10 being, woo, it's off the charts. So take a few minutes to do that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about that and keep going. Now we're going to do a little exercise. Not a stand up and do jumping jacks kind of exercise. That comes later. All right? So who would like to volunteer to come up and play with me at the front of the room? Come on up. And I'll be the first to admit I'm terrible with the name, so please tell me your name again.
Teresa.
Teresa. Everyone give Teresa a big hand. Woo! Our gracious curtsies here. All right, so what we're going to do, Teresa, is I'm going to ask you to share with us for about a minute an experience that you had in your life that had you lit up from the inside out. It was so exciting, and you're going to paint us a whole picture of what was going on and why it felt so good. But before you do that, so that's your job. Now your job, y'all have a role too. So I want you to take out your pen, and as she's talking, I want you to listen for what's important, to write down all the values that you hear are being honored and what she's expressing about this peak moment in her life and why it was so important to her. And just jot down some notes, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, doesn't matter. Whatever you hear, be brave enough to write it down in service of Teresa so that she can have a more full list of the things that are important to her. Got that? Okay, so tell us about some really cool moment in your life.
Okay, I recently experienced a really cool moment. I was checking my email, and I received an email from an ex-assistant that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably 3 paragraphs. It was a really long email. And in it, he explained to me how I had inspired him to go back to school, to look and find his creativity, to practice his writing and focus on what it was that he really wanted in life. And he was very happy that I had spent the time with him that I did, in the office, on the job. This made me feel really, really good. I felt like, well, my work is done, I had that kind of feeling, like I had actually touched someone, made a difference in their lives, inspired them to move on, and I had felt like I'd empowered this young man, and I just felt really, really good, really in harmony with myself at that moment.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you. So go ahead and have a seat. Now, so we've got, is it T-E-R-E-S-A?
Yes, it is.
T-E-R-E-S-A. And for all my teachers in the room, there are no points off for spelling today. All right. So just call out to me. What did you hear as Teresa was talking? What are some of the values that you heard? Inspiration? Mm-hmm. Empowerment.
Inner harmony. Meaningful. Creativity. Loyalty in relationships.
What else?
Influencing others.
Influencing others. Focus? Hocus pocus? Anything else?
Gratitude.
Gratitude, yeah. Okay, here's my list, because I have to write stuff down too. So I heard recognition. I heard inspiration. I heard making a difference. You have that on there. Empowerment. Harmony. Being of contribution. Being of, and what was the other one? Recognition. Okay. So, Teresa, now open up your top 5 and read off to me what your top 5 are.
It doesn't sound like that. Family,
Family,
leadership,
leadership,
wealth, security, stability.
all right. So come back up here for a minute, please. So, if you look at this list, you can think about this is your left brain list, and this is your right brain list. So noticing the difference.
Yes.
So what do you make of all this?
Well, on the first page where we selected, our values, a lot of this, in general, were my values. But when I think about today, what is on my mind, today, this is it. This is where I am. I'm working part-time. I have 3 adult children, but they still need my guidance and direction, and I have a grandson, so I'm thinking about, family and my leadership for my family, because I'm also divorced, and I feel like I need to have some, I'm still a role model for my children, even though they're young adults. Wealth, because I am only working part-time. I'm partially employed, so to speak, and so I'm concerned about, I'm in my mid-50s now. I'm concerned about my retirement. Security, I don't know, I've always been concerned about my, like national security.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So my mind went to security of more financial security, but national security, that's a good one.
Right. And then stability, which goes with actually wealth.
Okay, got it. So are there any incongruencies here?
Meaning?
Well, are any of these, do they not resonate for you?
No, they all do.
They all do,
They
okay.
all do resonate for me.
Yeah. So that's the thing that you guys get to notice in these peak experiences is it's really a place for your heart to speak through and your intuition about what you want and what you don't want. Do you guys see anything in here that would make a difference over here on the right side of her list?
Some of those are leadership issues that she has, because good leaders, I think, inspire others. They do, hopefully what they do is meaningful to others. That they cultivate relationships, and there's, more relationship building and less gossiping and stuff. So I can see how they feed into each other, and work can be like family. Because Martha and I met because we were both reading coaches in Oakland, and it's been 10 years or so that we're friends.
Yeah.
And so I don't have family except for my husband, and so for me, family is part of working relationships.
Absolutely. Thank you. I had one more comment over here.
I was going to say that I definitely think that you'd be more successful in leadership if you let go of some of the things that are distracting you. Like national security is a thing that you have to let go of. Stability, you're very stable.
the wisdom that comes through when you least expect it, from the unexpected sources. Yeah, well,
Thank you.
so you bring up a really great point of noticing, are these values, or are these your gremlins talking, your lizard brain talking?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just a place for you to notice, like, if I really look closely at that, is this a value or is it a fear? Right?
You're right.
Because if it's a fear, then I found that if you look really closely at what you think that fear is, it will dissipate into the nothingness that it is. Yeah. So I'm going to invite you as a special homework assignment. I assign homework, sorry. Is to really look at these and think about them and like, pull them apart. What inside of that are you fearful about? Or what part of that is really like, wow, this is something that's really important to me. Not from a fear place, but a place of honoring who I am.
Okay,
All right? So you take that on?
I will.
And email me, let me know what you find out?
Sure, I will.
Great. Okay, thank you, Teresa. Okay, so the fun news is guess what? You all get to try this now. So we are going to keep you from operating from the place of your don't wants and have you operate more and more from your do want place, because life is too short. Because if you can bring more of your do wants to the job that you're looking for, you're going to be all lit up and you're going to be all sparkling. You're going to go, ooh, I want you, because you're far more sparkly than that other person I just talked to, right? Because when you can do that, it creates a whole new world of possibilities for you. All right? Now, just to kind of emphasize this whole peak experience thing for you, I just want to give you a little example of this. So, just so you know that the learning is always constant. And I was reviewing this presentation with my coach earlier this week, and she took me through this exercise. She's like, okay, so what's your peak experience, Michele? I said, well, for me, it was when I finished this really big painting. It was the first really big painting I'd ever done. It's like 36 by 48. And so for me, the peak experience was creating the joy and the satisfaction of completion and of overcoming my resistance and my fears to doing this, because I got stuck in the middle of it. I was like, pulling my hair out about it and resisting it. And so moving through all of that to get to the other side of like, oh, wow. And then having the recognition by my peers and my family and my friends, like, oh, who knew you could paint? Like, well, you know, I've been doing it, but I hadn't bothered to tell anybody about it. So, you know, it's like, wow, when you come out with this stuff, these are the places that you're really your strengths, that some people think, oh, well, it's just like drinking a glass of water. It's not a big deal. But to somebody else, it's like, wow, who knew you could do all that great stuff? Get that out there. Get that out in the world. And it really aligns with my top 5 values. So it's a place where I'm in the zone and I can create a lot of great stuff from that place. So part of this is to help you see what's that place of the zone for you, because the more you operate from that zone, the happier you're going to be, the more energetic you're going to be, because it really brings you alive versus brings you down. So now, we're all going to do the peak experience. So what I'd like you guys to do is you're going to pair up with someone, hopefully the person next to you, or someone might have to move here. We got we got 2. So if you, what's your name? Basuda. Can you come up here and work with Joel? And what we're going to do is you guys are going to do this with each other. Now, one person is going to be joy and one person is going to be delight. So who is going to be my joy in the room? One person out of each pair. Raise your hand if you're joy. We got joy. Raise your hand if you're delight. All right, you're going to be delight. Joel, are you going to be joy or delight? Okay, you're going to be joy. So Vasuva, you're going to be delight. All right. So, here's what we're going to do. Delight, all of you delightful people, are going to be sharing your peak experience first. Okay? Now, important thing, because the person who is joy is going to be listening and taking notes. But you're going to be taking notes on your partner's paper because they want to go home with the notes that you take. All right? So swap handouts or wherever you want that written, or if it's a notebook. And then I'm going to time you guys. So when I ring the chime, then you're going to stop and you're going to switch. Okay? But before you switch, the person, so Joy, who's taking notes, is going to put check marks or circle or star the pieces, the words that they wrote down that are the ones that were like really important to Delight's story. Okay? Does that make sense? So you're going to share a peak experience. Delight's sharing. Joy is writing down notes on Delight's notebook. Okay? Got it? Yes, sir.
So you did a painting. What other peak experiences? Is it just something that you didn't know you could do, or lit you up, or?
So regarding my painting, so I've been painting for a long time, but I just started to do oil painting just a few years ago. And so it's all very new to me. And so to be able to do it in that bigger way was like, woo! So it was a really big accomplishment for me. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So what we're going to do now is I want to debrief this exercise a little bit with you. So how was this for you, talking about this peak experience with most of you a total stranger, some of you little not quite so much? Just pop off whatever comes to mind. Interesting. What was fascinating? What did you notice? What ahas came to mind? Yeah?
I think it is refreshing to just express what your I said it feels like refreshing to express what your proudest moment is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. How often do we actually get to ponder and express a really powerful moment for us? And have someone just listen with their full selves. And if you really think about it, that full attention kind of listening is kind of rare. We're all busy, oh yeah, right? We forget that there's a human being in front of us that we really need to honor by just being with them and listening to their experience. What else did you notice about how your values are showing up inside of that peak experience? Yeah, hey, y'all just pop off popcorn.
Mine were pretty, they were the same, but a little, yeah, they were pretty much the same, just defined differently.
Oh, define differently.
What I wrote my core values as was individual development, performance, creativity, adventure, and family.
Mm-hmm.
And joy or delight wrote performance, recognized, rewarded, making a difference, happiness, living up to expectations. And then I think she meant more individual development because I like to follow developmental plans. Just like have a mentor, or always whenever I get a new job, I find my mentor and have them coach me to be where I want to be, and I want to make sure I get every award.
Oh, so there's a bit of an overachiever in there, I hear.
A little bit of overachiever, top performer. What I usually the career field that I work in, I work in marketing, so it's always about being a top performer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like I want to be doing my job and make sure I get my raises and promotions and advancements in my job. I don't want to be stagnant.
Yeah, so what a perfect place for you to be. Because what I hear in you is, yeah, I'm always wanting to learn and grow, and I want to feed my brain.
But I'm also for truth and wisdom and inner harmony, knowledge.
Well, those all, they can all still go together.
And doing more political things, and that's what I do as a hobby. Like, but I'm kind of thinking like, okay, do I want to just intern for politicians, or do I want to work with a politician, or be a congressman, or and start flipping that.
Yeah, yeah. So you get to use this as a way to really look at that, and that's a really great example for you all to identify. Well, I thought that I wanted to do this, but actually, if I look at this as the yardstick, as the thing that I want to be tethered to, maybe I should actually look over here. Because that actually is going to give me more fulfillment when I can do this part as the hobby and do this part as the job. Yeah. Yeah. What incongruencies did maybe you notice? Where maybe there's some misalignment going on?
I think it's, for me, it's interesting what you can justify and what you can suppress, So
yes.
You said it in the beginning, and Teresa was gracious enough to share with us her left brain and right brain. But I worry about those things as well, but it's what other people see in you that you don't see in yourself. And you know it's there, but you kind of deny it, or you just say, yeah, but that's a pipe dream. And so I think that, for me, that's common. And so it continually comes out, things you're trying to deny, or maybe not look at, or just say it's just not something that's possible for me, so I'm going to go through this.
Yeah, I'm going to be practical.
Yeah.
I'm going to be practical, and I'm going to get a job that pays the bills because I have responsibilities, I have a family, I have blah, blah, blah. Right, I totally get that. It's great. It's really drilled into us. And so it takes a lot of courage to step out of denying your true passions and your true talents and own them. I shared that peak experience with you because it's me owning myself as an artist, which is a big step for me, right? I didn't tell anybody that I was an artist till about 3 years ago, and I've been doing it for 20-something years, So it's a muscle that you have to stretch and you have to practice, because fear, the lizard, is always going to want to try and keep you inside of your comfort zone, right? So I challenge you, I really challenge you to take hold of that dream, because it's not a pipe dream. It's part of who you are, and to start putting the baby steps into place, right? So one of my pipe dreams is to have my art showed all around the world. And this is the first time I've ever said that out loud, So it's not crazy. You can do it. And if you hide in the closet, no, it's not going to happen, right? So you got to get it out of your garage, which is where a lot of my art is right now, and get it up on the walls in different places so people can see it. Whatever your art is, it might be programming, it might be poetry, it might be writing, it might be teaching. It's so many different forms of art. And yours is your own unique brand of brilliance, right? So honor those places in you and allow them to come out. And notice when the lizard is going, I don't think so, sister. What are you thinking? You can't do that. Yes, I can. I can, and I will. And it might take me a little bit of time. It might take me a lot of time. But with the right amount of determination, you can do anything you want. It's just a lot of tenacity and hard work, right? So any other ahas that showed up out of that exercise for anybody? No? Well, you might be wondering, how does all of this help you get that new job? Well, it's actually really simple. When you can choose consciously the job that you want based on these core values that you've identified, the easier it will be to find that job and for that job to find you. When we did the session this morning, there's a gentleman sitting in the back of the room, and he kind of came in, and at first he was a little Well, I already know what I want to do, so why is this important? And by the end, he was like all fired up and all in. It was like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to claim my job. Because he had like gotten re-inspired with his own self-confidence about what works for him and what he really wants. So you get to choose consciously. And every day you get to choose again and again. This is my favorite quote here. One can choose to go back towards safety or forward towards growth. Growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again, because it will always show up. It will always come in and try and derail you. I promise you that. Because the gremlins, the little people, the committee, the lizard, whatever you want to call it, their job is to keep you safe inside your comfort zone. It's warm, it's cozy, you got the remote control, it's all good, right? Because when you start stepping outside of your comfort zone, you don't really know what's going to happen out there. And they're like, no, it's scary, ah. But really, when you start stepping outside of your comfort zone and your inside starts to tremble, you're probably going in the right direction. It's your heart going, yeah, keep going. It's scary, but it's good. It's like, you know, when you're driving at night and you're out in the country and there's no lights around and it's pitch black, you can only see as far as your headlights shine, right? But yet you keep driving, la, 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 I'm driving down the road because my car's working. My headlights are shining, right? But I'm trusting that the road will continue to unfold in front of me. You don't expect that there's going to be a cliff and you're going to drive off the cliff, because they usually don't make roads that drive off cliffs, now do they? The truth is, life works the same way. It unfolds just beyond the edge of your comfort zone, beyond what you can see. So you have to trust your intuition and know that it's taking you and pointing you in the place that you really want to go if you're willing to listen. And when we get caught in these dippity-doo places in our lives and we put on the blinders because we get scared, the hardest thing to do is to take the blinders off so you can see beyond it and go, oh. The woman in the previous thing, she's like, yeah, I tell everybody I'm a wide receiver. I just pull the blinders back and I'm open wide to receiving all that there is for me. I'm like, I love that. I'm going to take that. Thanks. So, we've talked a lot about values today, and we still have pages in your handout. You're thinking, well, we're going to run out of time, lady. What are we going to do? Well, as I said, I like to give homework. So, your homework is this. You're going to go through steps 2, 3, 4, and 5 on your own. You're going to identify your skills, your talents, and your passions. You're going to see how you can put those talents and passions to work more effectively in your day-to-day experience. You're going to look at what's needed to rejuvenate your spirit. And then you're going to see how you can practice gratitude in every day. And I've got tips in here, and I've got links, I've got books. I got all sorts of things in here for you. So you can figure that out. And what I would love from you is if you email me with the ahas that show up. Like, wow, this is what I noticed when I did this. Or this is the great job that I landed. Because I'm here to support you. And I've got lots of different support options for you. So please email me with any ahas or woohoos that you notice after today's workshop. And I really look forward to talking with you guys and being of service if I can be. You know, I'm always glad to do like living room workshops, or you know, if you have an organization that you work with that would like to have me come in and give a talk like this, I'm so excited. So, if there aren't any other questions, I want to thank you all very much for your time today, and I wish you many blessings as you find the perfect job for you this week. All right?